Welcome to Organized Zen Now. My name is Janie Downey. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Organized Zen is all about getting to the best work that you have in your heart, spending your time in this world and in this lifetime, doing things that bring you joy and that bring you high energy, and that are helpful in some way to you or to the community around you. It's about building community and feeling connected to yourself and to the rest of your world. If this talk is helpful to you, please like, please share, and please subscribe here on the YouTube channel. All right, so today I felt compelled to talk about work. And I don't talk about work very often because I have a strange job that I've created for myself. But I was reading an article, and it was about a woman out of Harvard Business School, Teresa Amabile. And it's a book about the progress principle, using small wins to ignite joy, engagement, and creativity at work. And I was reading about this, trying to decide if I was going to read this as a book, and I thought, I couldn't be less interested in this anymore. The small wins and the engagement within a big work community, because I've left that big work community. So my career was in direct marketing before I decided to just do theater and write. And my last big job in that was working for LL Bean. So it was a big group, and I was competitive, and I made great money, but it was soul sucking and low energy and not joyous. The people were terrific, but the work itself not fulfilling. So when I was reading about a book like this, it just kind of took me back in time to think about that and how to get people motivated within an atmosphere like that. And for me, I had to leave the atmosphere. And it was interesting, when I left LL Bean, I ran into somebody who worked there at the same time as me, but we didn't know each other at Bean. And I said, it wasn't for me. I never really felt like I fit in there. And she said, well, of course you didn't. And she said, it was a culture of mean. And I think they're drastically different today. But when I was there, it was very competitive and very watch your back. And people were escorted out of the building when they decided to leave. And it wasn't a fun, joyous place to be. So within that, I was organized. I got a lot done. I got paid well. I managed a big group of people, but not a good fit. And was it because it was a culture of mean, or just not a great culture for me? But it made me think about work for a lot of people. And when you are in work and you're trying to get to a place of organized Zen, how do you make that connection? Because you're kind of stuck with that. So people at Bean, when I was there, that would say, oh my God, I'm not getting enough back from this company. And I have to say, this is $1 billion company. Like, don't expect it to be as friendly as our brand is. Find joy within this. Find people that you connect with. Find small things that you like to do, or find work outside of work that is really much more joyous and helpful, like being a volunteer. And I would still advocate for that, because big companies are just what big companies are. And if you're there, you got to recognize you're there because you're ambitious, or because you're making good money, you get good benefits. And it may be joyous to you, but for most people, it's not all that joyous. So if you can find small things within, or find things outside of. So what happened for me was, while I was working at Bean and not really liking that, I started doing volunteer work at a center for grieving children as a facilitator. And then I got into teaching children's theater, which led me to writing for the theater, which got me back on the stage. And the workshop I ran in Cumberland for kids was a great theater group, super fun. And that made me ambitious in a different way, to just have more of my life be around the theater and writing. So there are ways to find work that you love, and this applies to volunteer work as well. So if you have retired, or you just are working on volunteer work, you really want to watch that as well, because work takes time, no matter what you're doing, whether it's for pay or being a volunteer. And if you're not feeling joyous and high energized by what you're doing, then I will tell you that it's time to do something else. And if you're a volunteer, you have a lot more control than if you're working because you need to be paid, and you need the benefits of working at a paid job. So gosh, if you're not connecting with a volunteer job, maybe you did at one point, but maybe you're not right now. Now would be a great time to stop doing that and not work for them anymore. What I think is interesting with volunteer work is that's your passion, right? You think. And if it's not, then time to go. All right, so for an exercise today, I would advocate, as always, taking some time to think and taking some time to brainstorm and write down ideas. So I'm working from a big art book. You can do this on a pad of paper. I really advocate writing things down in one place. It's a very Zen piece to know. I had some ideas. I wonder what I did with them. That's not Zen. Zen is I had some ideas and I know where they are. They're in this notebook. So if I want to think about it, ponder it, or even just know that it's in a safe place, it's great to have a place. So for me, it's this big art book right now. So I titled my work today of What Do I Do for Work? So I have a weird job that I've created for myself right now, which is a mix of doing volunteer tours. I do historic tours for pay, and I write. And so for me, that's a little odd. But what I'm doing then is writing down, what do I do for work at a sort of a detailed level? So within that, I do writing, editing, research, and presenting for most of the work that I do, whether it's for here, for Organize Zen Now, or the writing that I'm doing for fiction. Even when I work on the tours, I rewrite what I'm doing, I edit, I research, and I present. So my job is all around that. Within those, what's interesting is because you're going to add columns to this. So you're going to write down everything that you do, but then add two columns, high energy and low energy. And then go through your list and think, out of this, what is high energy for me? Or, this actually is an energy drain for me. And I have some with double checks, like research to me is super fun, high energy. What was interesting for me working on this was, of all of the things that I do that involve writing, editing, research, and presenting, the writing is actually the lowest energy pull for me. But in order to get to the rest, I have to do the writing. So I only do the research so that I will write, and I can't edit until I've written, and I can't present until I actually have a finished piece. So for me, I have to kind of plug myself in some days to get to the writing, encourage myself to get to it. And then making a list like this reminds me when I'm dragging my feet and I'm not sitting down at the computer or out in the world and writing, is to think, you want to get to that other stuff. You want to finish it. You want to be able to present it. You want to have stuff that you can edit through, because there's such a joy to that for me. And just a reminder that the writing of all of these is hard, but the rest of it is what makes it great. Then, second part to this. So now you have your list of what you do for work at a pretty detailed level. And then what I had found with that, which I'd ask you to do, is look for commonalities. So across your work, volunteer work, what you do maybe at home for work, do you find things in common? Which is where I found that pretty much everything I do ties back to 4 things. So I'm looking for commonalities. And then I'm also looking for commonalities of what type of atmosphere to me is high energy or low. What type of people do I like working with? For me, it's, high energy and people that are smart. When I'm at these volunteer things, they're historic places, super smart people, super interesting, good stories. I'm looking for that wherever I am. Or is it autonomous, or do you feel more comfortable in more of a traditional atmosphere to be directed by somebody that's making very clear about what you want to do? Are you comfortable with just working, or do you be able to see progress as you go? So for me, seeing stuff happen chapter by chapter, video by video, that's important to me, and I see that across those as being a high energy piece for me. And then one that is really an interesting piece is your high energy work something that matches your current abilities, or is your high energy work something that challenges your abilities? So most people want to be somewhere right in between on that. You want to feel competent about what you're doing, but you need a little edge to it usually to say, I don't exactly know what I'm doing. Like when I'm propping a show, I'm good at making things, but I don't always know exactly where I'm going with it. And that's the high energy for me, is when I have to really think things through and then use my hands to be able to create something for the theater. And then, do you like working alone, or do you like working in a team? And for me, it's both, because I have to be alone to do the writing, but I love the work that I do out of here as a volunteer, mixing it up with people, and certainly presenting is a high energy piece for me. And I always laugh when people talk about like the Myers-Briggs of introvert, extrovert. And I think we all have such a mix of that, of does that charge you up or not? And there's some things you do in life where you got to do it on your own, and then some things just, they involve a big group of people, whether that's energy for you or not. So you got your big list. You're thinking about high energy, low energy, and then you're looking for commonalities. And then always, that last step is to stop and think. So give yourself a minute or two and just think, okay, if you got a lot of energy draining pieces on yours, is there something that you can change with that? Is there a baby step that you can take to say, I don't want my energy to be drained. I may have to work in a job that I have to keep. If it's totally energy draining, are there pieces within it? So you like working alone? Can you find more alone time? Do you like working in teams? Can you find more team time? Can you find more autonomy? Can you find some way to see more of progress that you're making? What could you do to change that energy situation? Or if you're just really stuck with what you have with that, can you find a volunteer job that would be much more high energy for you, and something that comes, from a passion of the heart? The quote I'm going to leave you with today, I love, comes from these earrings. So I was working at the apothecary shop in Old Town Alexandria yesterday. I do volunteer tours there. And one of the very smart guides there, I was getting ready to go in and do a tour, and she said, what do your earrings say? And I said, is this not just decorative? And she said, no, that's Farsi. And so while I went off to do my tour, she looked it up. I'd gotten them from the Smithsonian. She found them on the Smithsonian site. Then she went to the jeweler's site, and my earrings are the quote that I'll leave you with today, which was, the best people are the ones who are helpful. And wasn't that a great thing to hear as I went off to do a volunteer tour? All right. I hope this is helpful. If it is helpful, please like, please share, and please subscribe to the channel. And please come back and see me again soon. Thanks for visiting. Bye-bye.